So let's start with the evaluation for learning cycle, evaluation for learning PD so far. As you know, this is the second season in our Eval for Learning suite of educational programs. We put out the first 6 sessions starting in November of last year, and we're still going to be retaining the original learning outcomes, or at least that's our idea right now. Our idea right now is to retain the original learning outcomes, including the umbrella outcome, to help guide our work in the second season. So first, our big umbrella outcome is that we hope that participants will be able to apply ethical, culturally responsive, equity-focused approaches and able to evaluate the process and outcomes of your work as part of an evaluation cycle. So that's the big goal. And then for some reason, when I imported these from PowerPoint, from Google Slides into PowerPoint, it changed them all to number 1. So we have 3 number 1 sub goals here. So we also wanted to reflect on these 3 sub outcomes. We went through some dialogue with participants of season 1. We also did some of our own evaluation of how the program was serving your needs so far. And we learned through our dialogue with you that many of you are now very on board with the importance of culturally responsive, equity-focused approaches, but that some participants were still puzzling over the right approach for your organization and your context. And that's not a surprise. Those are big thoughts about how we might center equity in our work. And at the end of last season, we heard from some of you that this professional development opportunity has supported you by giving some resources that are supporting that expansive toolbox of skills. We're going to continue to do that. We'll continue to add to that toolbox of resources and ideas for you all. We also heard that you were considering how you might bring in more community members or more diverse voices into your decision-making process. People were talking about bringing on unbiased collaborators, unbiased data collectors, and some of you were working on bringing other members of your organization on board. So the challenge that some of you are still having is to develop a culture of feedback, learning, and improvement in your own org. And none of this stuff is a huge surprise to me because they're all pretty big asks. And I just want to point out that we are all on this learning journey together, and that these are aspirational, even for all of us, including the members of OSU Extension Outdoor School and our team. And so what I like about these is that we can kind of set our sights on these outcomes, even if we haven't achieved them yet, and we still have all of season 2 to work toward it. So our whole approach to this learning is based on the evaluation cycle, which moves through considering, monitoring, and evaluating, then reflecting on that information in order to learn and plan, and then applying what we've learned to improve, and doing all of these 3 phases with equity at the center. And that's why equity is, you'll see equity in the center of the evaluation for learning cycle always whenever we present it. We've broken that down into a lot of internal steps, moving from the lower left. If you think about establishing your purpose, your organizational and personal identity, establishing your evaluation questions, collecting data that will help you answer those questions, then analyzing that data, seeking to figure out what the implications of that might be and how we might plan and then implement our plan. All of which can be done with equity at the center, taking into consideration an equity lens on all of these steps. So this is sort of the structure. And in the first season of our PD, we covered these first 4 main segments of the cycle, and the rest of this is what we are going to be doing in season 2, moving us around this this cycle. But I think it's really important to note here that because it's a cycle, the evaluation cycle can be entered into from any point. So let's say you haven't spent time with us in season 1 establishing your purpose and your identity lenses that you're bringing to the evaluation. That's okay, because you might be able to jump into this process simply by analyzing data that you already have, perhaps, and jump into this, what we think of more as a spiral, from any point, and then continuing around the spiral, deepening with each iterative cycle. So we don't want this to feel prescriptive in that you can only enter the cycle at one place. We want to make sure that this can meet people where they are and meet their needs with where their organization is in the moment. And we trust that as we all move around the cycle, we will continue learning and growing and deepening our practice. So, but even though you can enter at any point, we do want to say that season 1 resources are available to you. So far, the program has been archived on our website. That includes video clips, that includes a reflection guide that you can engage with and print out and have on your desk while you're watching the video clips from season 1. All the slides, all the resource links, handouts, and collaborative spaces, all of those are linked online. It looks a little like this if you're going through it on the website. You can see that session 1 has a series of recordings, and they're all clips from that 2-hour-long session. So we hope that you'll have a chance to go back and browse through what's already been recorded.